This is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief, Spartan 117. Welcome to Quality Time, the KO Koala Entertainment Podcast. Anthony and Skylar will take it from here. Master Chief, out, out, out.
Hello and welcome to Koalatea Time, the KO Koala Entertainment Podcast. I'm Skylar Sokol.
And I'm Sean Stevens.
It seems like we missed out. We're missing someone yet again. Is this the new podcast duo? What's happening?
True. We don't need him.
No, actually, we've been given the okay from the big man to do some to leave him out of some podcasts if there are topics where there's more knowledge in other members of KO Koala. So for today,
true,
Sean's most anticipated game of his life since the last FromSoft game is coming out this week.
It's so true. They announced it in 2019.
It is now 2022.
E3, and it's finally almost here.
All right, first thing we have to talk about with Elden Ring before we go on to anything else. What the fuck is with it launching at 3 p.m. Pacific time on PC? I'm like, what is?
I have no idea.
The day before the game comes out, it's launching at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Maybe it's coming out at midnight UTC. I think
probably,
that might be 3 p.m.
FromSoft is, Japanese, so it probably lines up in Japan pretty well with everything, right? So it might just be that, or it just might be the Steam.
Who knows? But that's awesome. I might even get to play it before Sean, and that's
true.
That's pretty funny. But Sean will be the streamer. You'll see. He did a poll. Are you excited? All right. So what? Like, are you? I don't know. How do you feel knowing that Elden Ring is coming out on Thursday?
It's kind of crazy. So I think the biggest thing why the hype is so big, at least for like fans of the genre, is all the games that they've released, at least the past 5, the Dark Souls, Sekiro, and Bloodborne have all been solid, at least for me, like 8 out of 10 games or whatever, right? So I think everyone's in the boat of like, they haven't really released a bad game yet, right? So there's no way this one can be bad. Which,
right.
I mean, it could be, right? But I think that's a big part. And I think the worst case for me, right, it's another FromSoft game that's pretty good, right? And then obviously the best case is it's the best game they've ever made, right?
Right.
And I think for me, both of those are like, I'm kind of good with both of them.
Yeah, as long as it follows like the classic FromSoft formula, the Dark Souls, Sekiro kind of formula,
right.
It's hard for it to be like bad, at least for its core audience.
Right. I mean, it's like the boss fights would have to be like really bad, and they'd have to change the leveling formula is not going to change or anything like that. Like, it should be a similar experience, just in a different world with some better graphics and some of the new mechanics, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
So speaking of like Dark Souls games and FromSoft games in general, what was your like intro into the FromSoft experience? Like, how did you get started in FromSoft games?
So I remember, the first game I played was Dark Souls 2 on the 360. A long time ago, and I remember getting to the first boss and never beating it. I never played the game again.
Okay.
And then Dark Souls 3 was about to come out, and I think that was 2015. And they was getting a lot of hype, and I was like, oh, Dark Souls 2 is kind of cool. And I just built my first gaming PC. So I bought Dark Souls 2 on PC and beat it right before Dark Souls 3 came out. And then played Dark Souls 3. And then after that, the years after that, I played Dark Souls 1. And then obviously I played every game that they've made on release ever since.
Right. So 2015 was when you started. Dark Souls 1 came out when? I mean, the original Demon Souls came out like on the original Xbox or whatever,
PS, right? Yeah, original Xbox and PS3. So that one's old.
I think I played it. I think it's in the other room. I think I have it. And
Dark Souls 1, I want to say 2009. I'm Googling it. 2011 was when it came out.
That's great. That's over 10 years ago.
Yeah, so I would have been a senior in high school. Yeah, I don't think I even had heard of the franchise back then.
That's crazy. Well, and I mean, probably for the better, since like it's gotten so much better since then, right?
Right. No, yeah, and it's I mean it definitely used to be super niche, right? Like obviously the, Dark Souls of, it spawned this whole not
Right.
genre but like stupid term, right?
Right.
Um because it was niche and now it's definitely, I mean, Elden Ring's going to be one of the biggest releases of 2022 for sure.
Probably
Right?
I would be surprised if it's not like one of the
Maybe
biggest,
of the
right?
whole year, right? But
Right.
I mean, it won most anticipated game the last 2 years in a row at the Game Awards and stuff. So it's going to sell a lot of copies, and you're going to see a lot of it for a week, I guess, until people get bored of it.
Yeah, I
or
guess the
whatever.
question is, do we think like they have talked about how like it's maybe a more accessible version of Dark Souls, or there's some aspects of it that are meant to make it more accessible?
Yeah, I think from like I heard that, and I think from my knowledge, what I would guess that means is just since the world is a more open, and I hate calling it open world, but just since the world is bigger and you have more options,
Right, because the original
um,
Dark Souls games are basically open world anyway.
they're open world in the fact that all the areas connect and there's like no loading screens, right? But they're linear levels, right? When you go to a place in Dark Souls 1, 2, 3 or Bloodborne, you're going through hallways to the end. There's not really much branching paths, right?
Right.
So a lot of the fights are like, here's 3 guys and there's 2 walls next to me, so I can't really go around them, right?
Right.
Unless you sprint past them. So I think Elden Ring, you'll see, here's a pack of 10 enemies. I can run and fight them. I can stealth them, or I can just leave, right? And I think that's what they mean by more accessible. There'll be less boss run backs and more ways to approach enemies, which I think will make the game a bit easier.
I mean, that's awesome, because I think there's like, there's different types of difficulty in games, and Dark Souls I think is well known for basically having like all of them. It has like real skill requiring difficulty, but it also has like really dumb, like repetitive, like bang your head against a wall difficulty that is like not fun.
Yeah, my reviews of Dark Souls games are always like, there's a line of satisfying and bullshit, and they like walk that line, and each game has both sides, and some games have one side more than others, right? Where like Dark Souls 1 has more bullshit, and I think it's just the age of the game where enemies will hit you through walls because the collision's not right.
Yeah, that's
or,
bullshit.
Like glitch through things, or like they're like in hallways when you swing your sword at an enemy and it hits the fucking wall and you don't hit the enemy and you die. It's like just kind of annoying, right? And then obviously the newer the games get, the more that stuff kind of goes away, and then you get into the more satisfaction part. And I think as long as there's more satisfaction than bullshit in the games, then they're good, right?
Yeah, I guess it's interesting, right? Because the most recent FromSoft game was the Demon Souls remake, and that took a game that had like, I'm assuming mostly bullshit, and was it able to take it and bring it out of the bullshit, or no?
It's so interesting because Demon Souls is actually the most different of all their games, because it's like the traditional FromSoftware game, right, is usually here's an area, you go through it, you find some items, you kill some basic enemies, and then you do a boss fight, right? And the boss fight's like a standard, I dodge, hit them, kill them. Demon Souls, half the things in the games are puzzles. Like most of the bosses, you don't fight them. They have like some kind of, I don't want to call it a gimmick,
like
but
puzzle
it's kind of
mechanic,
a gimmick,
though. Yeah,
where they're like, there's one boss where it's literally like use stealth and kill him with a machine, and he just dies. There's one boss that he's only weak to a certain weapon. There's one boss that has a weak spot that you have to shoot. So it's like none of them are like there's a couple of fights that are traditional, right? But they're very puzzly. And then that game is levels, right? They call the levels 1, 1, 1, 2, like Mario, because you go into a teleporter into the level.
Oh, okay. So it's
actually level based,
really level
based. And Dark Souls, they went to the open connected world, and then they never gone back, right? So I thought, I mean, for me, I thought Demon Souls was the easiest of the games I've ever played, of all of them.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Before the podcast, by the way, you and I were talking about which FromSoft games I played the most of. I realized I left out Sekiro. I actually played a lot of Sekiro. I have like 30 hours in it. I think I got a lot of the way through. I didn't beat it, but I got pretty far.
And I think Sekiro is a good point too, right?
Yeah. What about
obviously
Sekiro?
Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 are all true sequels, right? They're very similar to the one before, and they just added a bit new stuff, but they're pretty much
they maybe
same,
feel
right?
a little smoother to play,
right? And then Sekiro is the first one where they really changed it, right? You don't have the traditional leveling. You play as an actual person instead of a nameless whoever,
Right.
right, with voice acting, and everyone has the same. He only has one sword. He has the prosthetic tools, but generally the combat you do is the same. And it's super parry focused, right, instead of dodge focused, and it was really well done.
Right.
So I think it goes to show if they kept a little chunk of the base formula and then changed it a little bit in the Sekiro, and I loved it and everybody loved it.
Yeah.
So I think if FromSoft just does that until they're bored of making games, right? I guess just
Right.
like kind of keep tweaking it every time. I guess it works so far.
Yeah. So are you expecting? And I know we know some stuff, and there was like the beta and stuff, but just for everyone watching, Sean and I know very little about Elden Ring. I always keep myself completely blind on games I'm really excited for, single player games, and Sean has also done it. You were mentioning before the podcast, a recent trailer came out, right? And what happened? What did you do with the recent trailer?
Yeah, I watched like 5 seconds of it and I was like, I'm not watching this, right? There's like no way I'm going to watch this. The thing that is interesting to me for Elden Ring, I think, and this is what I got in the first 5 seconds, is they've released more like story bits in the trailers than they ever have. Like, I watched and I saw some, and to be non-spoiler, there was some character I haven't seen before started talking, and I was like, I'm not watching this because I don't want to know about this character. But I was like, they don't ever. I don't know what the trailers were for the previous games, but I think I guess Sekiro is probably when they changed. Sekiro has the most digestible story, so I'm expecting Elden Ring to be the same mechanically for the most part.
As
what
Dark
I'm really
Souls,
interested in is
Sekiro.
how are they going to tell the story in a different way than they have before? Is it going to be more easier for me to digest just playing through the game than all the other games, right? Are there going to be a lot more voiced? Are they going to be cutscenes in the game, right?
Right.
The only cutscenes in like the Dark Souls games were like the boss intro cutscenes where they fall from the ceiling and like menacingly walk up to you.
Right.
Everything else is just NPC dialogue.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they did have George R.R. Martin consult, right? So clearly there has to be some sort of narrative, like a serious narrative consideration going on.
Right.
Here.
So I would be really happy if after I beat Elden Ring, I can say like, I know what the story was, and there's some parts that were a mystery that I'm, maybe I'll go talk to NPCs and figure out, or Google or watch a video, but at least to be like, I knew kind of what was going on. Right. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
I still can't tell you the story of Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
I had no fucking, in Bloodborne, I have no fucking idea. At least Sekiro, I kind of understand. Right.
Now, one crazy thing about Elden Ring, and I sort of alluded to this, is there was like a technical test, right, where people were able to play
there was
tens
14,
of hours.
I saw the problem with Elden Ring is I always get stupid YouTube recommendations, but they were like 14 bosses ranked from the network test, and I was like, damn, I didn't know they put 14 bosses in the network test.
Right. That's like a large chunk of a single player game to reveal, right? That's really
it is, but
strategy.
I know they said that there's a lot of changes they've made based on feedback from the network test in terms of like tweaking whatever, which is great because I don't think they've never done a
public test. They've never done
a public test. Yeah, I'm sure they've done insider tests and whatever, but I don't think they've ever done a public one, which is cool. So it shows that they really want to hopefully improve the netcode.
Yeah.
and fix bugs and like issues. I think it's good for them too to be like, hey, I'm sure they polled the players and were like, hey, how hard was boss number 1?
Right. Or like, did you enjoy the mechanics of this boss kind of thing, right?
Right, yeah. And hopefully they tweak it and now we'll have a better first time fighting boss number 1.
Right.
Whatever.
Now,
so
Dark Souls has like this interesting mix of like magic and like combat, right? Where the like sword weapon based combat is the main focus and the magic is sort of like a subsystem, right? Do you like
generally
that? Right? Like what are you hoping for from Elden Ring with how that kind of stuff works?
It's gotten so the thing about it depends on the game you're playing. So you're right. So the older the games are, the more the more magic is like an accessory. Like the first game, it was like you had a limited amount of uses between bonfires. Same with the second game. You had attunement slots. You had a rest to recharge them. And the third game was when they finally added a mana bar, right, with the mana potion. So Dark Souls 3, I think, was when it became more viable to actually just go pure magic. But it was still, if you run out of mana, right, you like always want to have a weapon because a weapon you can just swing, right?
Right.
So I think all they need to do is add more interesting magic. A lot of what the previous games did is all the magic was like the same. It was
It's just like random
it was
targeted
like,
abilities.
I shoot a
right?
fireball. Okay, here's a fireball that does more damage. Okay, here's a fireball that does the most damage. Right? It's like wasn't really interesting. you
Right.
know? It just they scaled it up. So if they added more like just interesting magic that you can use in more situations than just shoot a guy. I mean, it was like basically like just a magic crossbow, right? From the previous games. And they had some really cool spells, but the cool spells were generally just like fun to use but bad.
Huh.
Except for I guess in PvP, like some of it disguises you as like an element of the environment. So you like turn into like a pot or like a statue.
I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, I think it's called camouflage. So you can like it's if you're in a forest, it'll turn you into like a tree, and you can like hide there and wait for your PvP target to like walk by you and kill him.
Do you want to talk a little bit about, for the uninitiated, how multiplayer works in FromSoft games and Dark Souls games,
another thing
and what you hope it'll look like in Elden Ring as well?
So generally in the games, so you play online if you want to, and generally in the old games, if you were human, and being human is a way to increase your max health bar, and when you die, you become hollowed and you have a lower health bar. So you would be incentivized to be human before fighting a boss, right? And when you're human, another player, if they use an item, they can invade your world. So they'll get sucked in your world and then they can kill you. That's generally how the PvP works.
And they just like randomly appear next to you, or how does that work?
No, they spawn in the same zone. So they'll spawn in the same zone as you, and generally it'll fog off the zone so you can't leave it for both players.
Okay.
And they generally spawn you kind of far away from them. So like when it'll say like Invader Poops McGee, has entered your world,
right?
And then you'll start like running around looking for them, and they show up as like a red ghost, so they're really visible. Right? You can see them from across the map, and then I don't know. For me, sometimes when you're frustrated, you just jump off a bridge and kill yourself
because then
they go away.
Kicks them out, and then you can just keep playing.
Yeah, but I mean, it was sometimes feels like a punishment, but they had some really cool things, right? There's so many covenants in the like Dark Souls 3 where it's like if I get invaded and I'm in this covenant, another member of the same covenant will join in and be on my team, and then they will summon a guy. So then you have like these 4-on-4 fights that can happen and stuff like that, which is really cool. And there's like if you invade someone and kill them, you get like a special item for your covenant, which you can turn into an NPC to get like it's like the only way to get certain weapons and spells and armors and stuff like that. So the problem, I think, for me, it's a system I never interacted with too much because the netcode is horrible.
Okay.
It has been horrible. It's every time it's so laggy. People like teleport behind you, or you like hit them on your screen and their character makes the like I got hit thing, but they don't lose any HP. And the hacking problem is pretty bad.
I see. So what would you hope that multiplayer, like, because Elden Ring's open world, at least in some way, right? So I guess we presume there's not like, it's not easy to put someone in a zone. So like, is there something you would hope the multiplayer would look like, or some way you would want it to feel, or do you want it to just be gone?
I do like the old system still. I think they will bring that back, and I think they should. And obviously they just need to adapt it to the open world since you can't. I don't know how they lock it down, right?
Right.
I'm sure if they do it, they'll figure that out.
Sure.
But I really like the Covenant stuff. And right, obviously, like Demon Souls had a boss where the boss is literally a PvP fight.
Right.
Right. And the thing, too, for players is you always have the option to play offline, and that stuff goes away if you don't want to be invaded. Right. Which is what you do anyway. If you're
But then doesn't the AI invade you or something?
Yeah, the AI will invade you, but it's like always the same one, right? And they're not laggy, and they're usually easier.
I see.
Right. So, which is fine. The only thing I think the PvP is good. What I want to be improved is the co-op.
Okay.
Because the games have always had co-op, and how it works is
you like use an item and summon a guy.
You put down a white soapstone, right? Which puts text on the ground, and another player can walk into it and click on your text, which will summon you into their world.
Right.
And then you play, and once you kill the boss of the area, it kicks you out. Or if the host dies. The problem is it doesn't share any progress, right? So if I help Evan, right, kill the boss, then I go back to my world and the boss is dead in his world, but not in mine.
If you haven't killed the boss yet.
Right. So it's like I have to summon him to my world, and it's like you'd have to do everything twice.
That's annoying.
And plus summoning a specific person is so annoying.
It's just luck-based, basically.
It's like luck-based. You have to be in the same region. They've done some ways to... The old way, like in Dark Souls 2, you had to put on a ring that you could like pick a phrase from, and if you pick the same phrase as someone else, it would like try to prioritize them, but it never really worked that well. Stuff like that. I mean, I get why they do it because it fits the lore, the whole summoning thing. Instead of like if I were just to right-click my friends list and invite you and you could just join,
right?
Doesn't quite fit, but it's like, can I just get that?
I mean,
Can
and
I just
Elden
invite
Ring is an
Skylar to my fucking
opportunity,
party?
right? Elden
Right.
Ring's an opportunity to do that because they're not tied to the whole Dark Souls system.
Right. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And I think if they had a way where it's like, okay, you have to be human and put down the summoning stone, but then when you click the summoning stone, you can invite from your friends list, right?
Right.
Just give me, or let me set it to friends only can join, something like that.
Now,
Just make it a little easier.
the human hollow mechanic, do we think that's coming? I maybe whether that's coming back. Do
don't
you
know if
hope
that's
it comes
coming
back? Like,
I hope it goes away.
I think it was the
annoying.
most annoying thing about playing Dark Souls for me. I just like
It sucks. It's because the item to become human, so you can either become human by helping someone kill a boss in co-op, which obviously is kind of annoying, or you use an item and the item is usually limited.
right. I mean, encouraging co-op in that way is kind of cool, but if they would you would want them to make it like easier to do then, right? And have better netcode.
I mean, it was always a risk reward, right? Hey, I get 30% more HP by using this rare item, but I can get invaded, and if the boss kills me, then I lose it.
Right.
Which I thought was cool, right? So I would always like, if I had fought the boss 40 times and I was like getting really close, I would use it and hope I didn't get invaded.
Right.
And then kill the boss, hopefully. But
right.
If it went away, I don't think it would hurt the game.
Yeah, and I mean,
I don't think people would miss it.
Now, another aspect of Dark Souls that I think people would miss, whether it's justified or not, is what about enemies respawning when you use a bonfire?
Oh, I think that will just be so much different in the way the world is now, right? Because if, say, you're going to a boss and you like die to enemies a bunch of times, I feel like in Elden Ring you can just be like, I'm just going to go around them on my horse
because it's so big.
Yeah, it's unless they're like guarding like the doorway.
Right. Well, I imagine it'll probably be like a system where you're like running around a world and then you sort of get to like a dungeony area where you're going through a more linear Dark Souls experience.
That's always what I imagined. Yeah, so they'd have an open world with like some new stuff in it, like crafting or whatever, and then there would be like, oh, I enter a cave and it's like what I recall from Dark Souls 3. I think that's what I expect. I mean, if they respawn when you rest at a bonfire, I mean, I'm used to it.
Right. I mean, that's something that I just think is dumb because in the end, everyone ends up just running straight to the boss. And like, I always ask the question, like, is that good game design? And I don't know, like, is it just there because people know it and it's like the nostalgia of Dark Souls? Like if that wasn't there, it wouldn't be Dark Souls, but really it doesn't add anything to the game? I don't know.
I think the best way just for them to get around that is you just make the bonfires a little closer to the bosses this time.
That would help, right? Like,
because then you still have the same feel, and then also it's not as death gauntlet-y.
Yeah, and I guess we don't even know if there will be bonfires in Elden Ring, right? There could just be save anywhere.
Yeah, there could be. I mean, I guess I would say if they didn't have bonfires, I think that would be crazy. I think people would be pissed about that.
Really?
But maybe not. I mean, I feel like they'll have bonfires.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
it did, right? Yeah.
It had, well, they were statues.
Right, but it had like save points that like
right.
we're talking.
Like they might not be bonfires, with the sword sticking out, but they'll be
save points.
Point of respite, right?
Right. No quick saves in Dark Souls.
Nah, I don't think so. I mean, that's such a big thing, right? You get through a big area or whatever, and you see that bonfire, and the feeling is just like so good.
That is true.
That's a Dark Souls thing for sure.
Right.
The feeling of, oh my god, I made it, and I can save my progress here after fighting a bunch of enemies and stuff.
Yeah, or you miss a bonfire. You miss a bonfire and then get screwed for like hours only to realize there was a closer bonfire.
Right. Yeah, maybe. That's what you get.
That is true. That's what you get. So in Dark Souls, there's like we're getting close to the end here, but in Dark Souls, there's like a wide range of different types of weapons, right? There's like fast weapons, big weapons, short weapons, all different kinds of stuff. Like, how does that combat play out for you? Do you like is there a type you like the most? How does it feel to play the different things?
Yeah, so first thing, so that's the thing I love most about Dark Souls, and actually why I didn't like Sekiro as much.
Okay.
Is because all the weapons and the stats give you build variety. Like, that's what opens up replayability for me in the games. So it's like, if I play, a dual-wielding fast dagger character the first playthrough, and then the second one, I play a guy who wields two giant swords, right? It's like so completely different to me. Mm-hmm. Even though you're still just pressing RB and dodging.
It's a whole new game.
It feels so different. And I think what I've always done in the past is I usually always beat the game first with just a weapon character that just whacks people.
Okay.
And then the second playthrough is when I do magic.
Where you start
type
like
stuff.
exploring the other systems of the game.
Yeah, just because it's because of the cryptic nature of the game, right? Because generally in the past it's been like, to get the magic you want, you have to find like the specific magic vendors, right?
Uh-huh.
And if you try to do magic on your first playthrough and you don't know where those people are and stuff, then you can kind of get screwed, I guess.
Uh-huh.
A little bit, because you can't buy the spells you want. And obviously if you're playing with a weapon, I mean the weapons are fucking everywhere, right? Find them off bodies and shops or whatever, and it doesn't, I mean, because you can beat the game with any weapon, right?
Right.
It doesn't really matter. It's like really hard to like make a build that's so bad that you can't beat the game.
Right. So speaking of weapons, you did a poll
I did do the poll.
for your what character class you're going to play in the game. Now, the classes in Elden Ring are similar to Dark Souls in that all they are your starting items, right? Or is there like
So
how do they work in
they
Dark Souls and are
are-
they the same in Elden Ring?
They look like it's the same type of mechanics where the class has starting items, weapons, and secondary items like bombs or whatever. And then they have the stats are different.
Uh-huh.
The starting stats, right? So it's
Okay.
like this one has 16 strength to start, and where this one has no strength but has intelligence. So they kind of like push you into like a specific style of play, but you never have to stick with it, right? Because if your character starts with 16 strength, well, you can just put all your points into magic and do that.
Right. Because
You
by
want
the
it.
end, you're going to have way more than the starting points in everything
Oh yeah,
anyway.
yeah, you have way more. So I mean, it's not like if you play the magician character, you have to do magic.
Right.
So it really doesn't matter what you start with. I mean,
then why even have classes, I guess, is something I would ask.
I don't know. I guess that's. I mean, it's like, why don't they just start everything at level 1 with level 1 and all the stats or whatever?
Right.
I guess it's just because I guess people like starting out as
Feeling like they
being-
have some sort of
feeling
identity.
like they're a warrior before becoming one. But I mean,
Sure.
I mean, you can get your identity really quick. It's just by the stuff you equip.
Right, but maybe
But I guess
it's
they've
just
always
like
done
a-
it that way.
Yeah,
So,
like a mindset thing, just like
I
so that
guess.
people feel like there's like some direction to their build,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise,
I'm
they
sure
might
people
be
would
lost.
prefer if they started at level 1 with all the stats at 1, so they could, because min maxers would fucking love
At least
that
the
shit, right?
hardcore players would really like that. Yeah,
That's the only thing the classes matter for, is if you're min maxing your build for PvP and stuff, then you probably don't want wasted points in the stat you're
I
not
see.
using, right? But although, I mean, it's 2%.
Right.
It's like whatever.
and so the wretch. Tell us about the wretch who won the poll.
Yeah. So the wretch is classic. So usually the name of that class is deprived.
Uh-huh.
So out of all the classes, they start at level 10 or 12 or something like that. So Wretch starts at level 1. So
Uh-huh.
Wretch is always the class people play when they do soul level 1 runs, right? Where they don't level up. They always play that class.
Wait,
'cause
so
it's
it
the only one that
starts at a
level 1.
lower level, so you actually are weaker at the beginning of the game.
No, because it's all stat based. So you are weaker just because his like health points are lower than everybody else. Like the vitality stat is lower.
Right.
I think every other class starts a little higher. Level 1 is actually a benefit because it means you need less souls to level up from 1 to 2 because you start at level 1.
Uh-huh.
So you don't need like any souls to level up. It's just he's like not the best min maxer because all of his stats are 10. So they're all even, right? Which you don't really want. And then his starting equipment sucks. He usually has no armor and he has a club.
I see. But then you rapidly find new stuff, right? Like even like after like the first enemies, you find new stuff, right? In Dark
yeah.
Souls?
No, I mean, I'm sure the first enemies in the game will drop a weapon, or if there's a tutorial, it'll give you like a short sword, probably. Generally, so it doesn't really matter. I think a lot of the votes were if you don't understand how the game is, right? Because I put all the descriptions of like how the class plays, and if you assume it's like another RPG where it's like you play warrior and you're gonna be a warrior, then you would get a little confused because you don't understand how the classes work. It really doesn't matter.
Okay, interesting.
It'll be annoying for the first part, and maybe like a lot of the games usually it's like you're the wretch and you have to fight the first boss with like nothing.
I see. So it could make the first boss significantly.
So it could make the
harder.
first boss a lot harder. But after that, it'll all go away.
Okay.
You know, I'll get an axe or something, probably,
I
or maybe
see.
not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it could be way different.
All right.
But the
Well-
spoiler is Wretch is the one I wanted to play anyway.
Oh my gosh. The reveal that you guys fell right into Sean's trap anyway.
I always play it first because I don't know what build I ever want to do when I start. So I just like starting with the one that has all the points at. And my favorite build in Dark Souls 2, it was called Mundane, where your weapon would scale off your lowest stat. So the way you built it was you made every stat the same. So you like upgrade them all the same.
Okay.
I
That was
really
like
hope
for
they
a
bring back
specific
Mundane.
weapon that had that
It was a weapon
trait?
enchantment. Yeah, you like
Okay.
enchant a weapon to make it mundane, and it would change the scaling of it.
Interesting.
So if they bring that back, that would be sweet. But I don't think they will.
I mean, anything they bring back is going to have like a new name anyway, right? So it's hard.
Right.
To even...
I also hope they change the like weapon enchantment system and stuff. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much they take from Dark Souls and how much is brand new. Like, yeah, because Sekiro had all new systems, right? Like basically no direct systems from Dark Souls except for like save points, right?
pretty much, right? I mean, the way you did combat and movement and everything was like, I mean, I guess the world design was similar, but otherwise it was in the story delivery.
Right, sure.
But otherwise, like mechanically, it was way different.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I mean, Elden Ring is supposed to be more Dark Souls-y, at least from what we
I imagine most people's combat will be dodge and then whack the enemy.
Right.
Probably.
All right. Well, maybe they'll take some of the parry stuff from Sekiro and bring it in, though. That would be cool.
I actually do hope they add like a better, because the parry. Yeah, I hope they add something like that.
Cool. All right. Well, if anyone wants to see Elden Ring, tune in. Sean will be starting playing. When are you starting? Friday?
I'm going to start Friday. Probably. I'm going to go with when I wake up for work because I took the day off. So probably like 10 p.m. Eastern.
10 a.m. Eastern?
Yeah, 10 a.m. Eastern, probably 8 my time.
Elden Ring from Sean.
Elden
Not
Ring,
on Thursday.
I'll be playing it the whole fucking day.
So you can even get a little bit of Elden Ring in on your own on Thursday so that you don't have to get spoiled by Sean playing, and then you can come watch Sean play through the shit that you got
True,
fucked
yeah,
over
you
by.
can watch a little bit of the beginning and then watch me get shit on by boss number 1. Actually, more like basic enemy number 1, you know?
Yeah, exactly. All right,
Watch
cool.
me scream over losing my souls. It'll be fun.
Thank you. Well, or whatever they're called in Elden Ring.
Yeah, or ring points.
your Sonic rings.
Ringles.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. As always, let's see if we have a quality time question really quick. I left the channel. That was smart.
I saw that.
I misclicked. Hold on, everyone.
I know Evan asked a question too. I think he asked about PvP and I talked about it. So
do we have a quality time question? The best go-to sleepover. Oh, Anthony and I answered this, but I guess you can give us your answer to this real quick before the end. What's your favorite sleepover snack?
Oh, jeez. Pringles, man, probably.
Pringles? Is it only because you said Ringles, so it's on your
I
mind?
think so. I mean, my favorite snack is Wheat Thins, but I don't know if that's a good sleepover
I like
snack.
Wheat Thins too, dude.
I fucking love Wheat Thins.
I
They're
haven't
the
had
best
them in so
cracker.
long. Damn.
Triscuits are good too, but I like
Triscuits
better.
also. Favorite Pringles flavor?
It's just barbecue.
Okay. They have dill pickle flavor, and I actually really like it.
I do like those. I mean, nowadays I'd rather probably buy any other chip over Pringles.
True, like some kettle chips.
Just 'cause Pringles are convenient, but the flavor's like way less intense, right?
Yeah.
Tastes like someone sneezed barbecue from the other room. You know what I mean?
Yes. All right, good to know. I'm going to go eat some Jimmy John's now. Thanks, everyone, for listening. If you want to find us, you can find us on social media at KOKoala_ENT. Go to kokoalaentertainment.com. Check our website. You can see all the goings-ons. We're making a game. It's called Agora. If you want to know about that, definitely come join the Discord. That's our main place where we communicate with people. We hang out. The community's there. You can get information about Agora. Ask us whatever questions you want. You can also join our Patreon, which basically is a merch subscription plan, sticker and merch payment plan. But in addition, you can then ask us questions on the podcast. We're trying to get some game nights together. I don't know. Yeah. Tune in soon for hopefully, more information on Agora and what's coming. There may be some big news in the future. Who knows when it will be or why, but it might happen. So
it's true.
We will be going to GDC at the end of next month, the Game Developers Conference, to maybe show off some Agora, so maybe you'll hear more about it. Who knows? Thanks for
But
listening.
you'll know if you're in the Discord.
That's right.
And
Thank
you
you,
follow us,
Sean,
then you'll
for
know.
joining me. As always, appreciate
Yeah, it's a
it.
pleasure.
We're definitely going to do a post Elden Ring podcast. Maybe if we get Anthony to play it, we'll bring Anthony on to the
I
Elden
can't
Ring
wait.
podcast.
I gotta watch him stream it if he plays that.
It'll definitely be. If we all play Elden Ring, it would be a fun time to have all four
It
of
would
us
be
on.
fun.
So.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be buying it and playing it. I bought KOF 15 last week, played it for
Nice.
3 hours and refunded it. So now I have
Oh.
$60 primed and ready for Elden Ring. So
Sweet.
we're
Perfect.
good. Thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Hopefully Monday, 6:30 our time, 8:30 Eastern. See you then.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.